what's up here then? Sort out some windows first. There we go. And pop. Boop. Plop. There we go. All right, sorted. How's everybody doing? Andrew was here very early. Zanka, Castle, Jersey, and Richard. Welcome. Thanks for joining. So what's your week been like? Anything you want to chat about today? You know, all the usual stuff. While you're doing that, I just need to cancel an email notification that is supposed to go out soon because it's going to confuse people. One hour left. Here we go. I just want to pause. Pause. Okay. There we go. Right, what's going on? What's happening? It's doing weird stuff. Okay, right, well, I think it's sorted. Just to let you guys know, I still need to schedule them though, but on Tuesday, from this coming Tuesday, I'm going to be doing the Brew and Babble. So just going to be filling you in with what's going on around the world and witchcraft news and all the weird stuff that's going on because witches are weird. And on my own news as well, whatever's happening. And then on Thursdays, I'm going to do hedge and history. So we're going to look at people in history. We're going to look at cunning folk, very folk magic-y, or folk witchcraft and traditional witchcraft type of stuff. So I've got like one lined up where we actually examine moon water and the traditional way of doing it rather than the modern way, which kind of misses the mark a lot. We're going to do stuff like that. So those are going to be live. They're going to be short lives, about 20 minutes long. I probably won't interact as much as I do on this one because it's just going to be a talking head type of thing. But if you've got any questions or anything in those, just pop them in. And if I don't get to them, what I can do is I can address them in a short or in a video, an extra video that I can just slap together and answer your questions and all that stuff. But we'll still be doing this Sunday, Covenstead. Kasim's here, hello, and James, and Sakat, hello, thanks for joining. Alright, Castle said I'm okay, I guess, for a Sunday week. Was busy closing our doors at work after 80 years, God. Did some cleansing work and more passing people over. What kind of business was it? And why are you closing down? That's 80 years. Cool, that's a long time. And Psycat, let's see what we have today. Light Namaste, Exalted, make us Super Lord of Gold. Okay. Thanks for joining. So anyway, so that's what's happening here. And I'm not going to be doing the movie review every month now. I'm going to stop that. Well, I made my coffee very, very hot. Good stuff. I'm still going to do the book review because I'm basically going to take that from what I do on with the book club on Patreon. So that'll just come straight from there. I'll just chop it up. There's a lot of stuff that I'm going to take out of those reviews. The discussions that we have during the book club. I'm going to take a lot out of that because it's not necessary for a book review on YouTube. So yeah, that's about it. Castle mattress making, just economy, mainly of people wanting to buy their wants rather than needs. It's part of the business. Okay. Mm. Right, so what is happening? There's some weird stuff. I'm probably going to do this on Tuesday anyway, but I don't know what I'm going to actually cover on Tuesday, to be honest with you, the Brew and Babble. But there's some weird shit going on Witch Talk. It's gone crazy. I think it's imploding again. How am I? I'm good. I'm actually very good. No complaints from me. Jersey, what do you do? What do you think about this Mars energy? I'm not really sure. I haven't felt anything different myself. Um, are people complaining about it? I haven't seen anything in regards to this. Um, so what are you feeling something? Are other people feeling something? What's going on there? James said I recall some witch talk people were going to hex them. Oh God, that was a long time ago. Yeah, not sure what became of that. Oh no, there's people still talk about that. Now it's just a whole load of shit. No, crazy shit. I saw something earlier that Coetting and his pals are going to go off into the desert and sacrifice animals to some god. I don't know what the fuck that was about. I won't put it past them, they're bloody idiots. Yeah, it'll probably pop up in the next couple of weeks. Everybody's very quiet today. Maybe it is Mars energy buggering about. Okay, so I'm glad I stay out of that witch talk. Yeah, witch talk is fun. I'm actually. I don't think I'm actually going to post again. Well, probably not ever again on witch talk. It's just one of those places that just attract the weirdest people. Um, I prefer YouTube. I'm just going to stick to YouTube and probably Facebook. Sorry, you said the Mars energy hasn't bothered me. Made me feel pretty balanced. I'm just painting. Yeah. I'm just having a look here. Currently, Mars is. Oh, okay, it just disappeared. It'll come back now. Hold on. So James said at Jersey, I worship Aries and have noticed a spike of positive or res Mars related energy lately. Been more motivated than I have in a while, and martial pursuits have been fruitful. Yeah, Mars can be used for a lot of good things. Oh, okay, here we go. So right now Mars is moving through Gemini. Oh, okay, yeah. And it's direct, it's not retrograde. You know, I'm not an astrologer. Just putting it out there again. Um, oh, is apparently the big flashpoint was a Mars Uranus conjunction on July 3rd, which tends to bring sudden bursts of impulsiveness, disruption, or act now energy. Gemini tends to be chatty. It could be what you're feeling at the moment. Um, Psycat said, "How is the willing spirit course taking shape?" Pretty good. I'm actually enjoying putting that one together. It's a lot less research than the planetary magic one. I've got to make sure I get all my stuff right with the planetary magic, just to make sure I put everything in the right places according to the right planets and whatnot. But the Goetic spirit one or the Goetic Undration one, as I said, I've got most of the material already, so I just need. I was putting the history together on Friday, Thursday and Friday. So just getting all of that stuff sorted out, and then I'm going to discuss what the spirits are, the different viewpoints and things like that. So a lot of it, I mean, I've spoken about it here over and over and over again. I've made videos about it. So really, all the material it's already been done. I've just got to like put it all together into one masterclass. So I think it's going to be pretty straightforward, but going to be interesting. It's going to be very fun. Yeah. Um, Jersey Captain Steve is a Scorpio, so he's definitely feeling the Mars energy. Yeah, that's definitely there. James said Aries. I can't spell today. I thought you did spell it right. You did spell it right. It's the same. Oh, no, it's all there. What's my sign? I'm Virgo Sun. I'm a hold on. I'm a Sagittarius rising, and there was some confusion there because we had to rectify my chart. So Sagittarius rising and Aries moon. What's awful? What did I do now? Come on, Psych what's the awful? What's going on? Castle, Cancer with Gemini ascending. Psycat, such a non-pooky combination, yet a pooky. Okay then. James, I wrote Ores earlier. Ores as in okay. Errors, yeah, okay. Got it now. Still got brain drain from the gym this morning. It's understandable. Kerry, hello Kerry. You haven't been here for a while, have you? Glad you could join. You're Sad Rising. Yeah, oh, I'm a Sad Rising, yeah. This means Jupiter is your chart ruler. Yeah, something like that. I don't know. Don't know. As I said, not an astrologer. It's way over my head. I have an astrologer. Right, I think we're starting to get more people on now. Well, 15 minutes in already. No, no, not really. Psycat, yes, Jupiter is the ruler and Sun the ruler of your fortune. As I said, I have an astrologer. I go to them when I need the answers. It's like I have an accountant because me and money don't mix very well. So, uh, Cherry said the moon is my chart ruler. Right, well, while we're waiting for everybody else to pop on and get the discussion going, I'm trying to think what else I can mention. Yeah, as I said, I'm going to do the Brew and Babble on Tuesday. I'll do the Hedge and History live on Thursday. I'm gonna be putting together the Goetic Conjuration Masterclass. Just going. I'm actually wait. What was I going to call that now? Just want to make sure I've got the right name. Richard said I'm in the same boat as you, Lee, when it comes to astrology. Yeah, it just goes woo woo over my head. Let's see what I made a decision on the name of the Goetic Masterclass, and that was, I shall tell you in a minute. How's all that? Oh, I was going to call it Beyond the Grimoire, a practical Goetia masterclass. It made more sense when I was looking at them afterwards. Andrea, hey, you joined us. Good stuff. Psycat, if Sagittarius is your ascendant, then a ruby for Sun will bring you wealth. A carrot or two. Are you going to send me one? Yeah, there you go. You can send me one, okay? They don't come cheap. So yeah, that's about it. That's all I can tell you. I'll just say hello to everybody. Hello, hello. Psycat, once I become a Bollywood superstar. Okay, good stuff. So I'll give you a month or two, all right? Urias for astrology. I would have actually said oh no, I've gone blank again. Stolas. Everybody tends to go to Stolas for astrology. Was it Stolas? The owl spirit. Yeah, Stolas. Everybody tends to go to that one for astrology help. Andrea, I put the notification on but didn't get notified. Oh, bloody hell. Fortunately, I had set my alarm. Okay. Yeah, YouTube's a bit useless. It really is. You don't always get the notifications. Alexis, this is Alexis 2. How are you doing? Unfortunately, one thing I've noticed about zodiac signs is prejudice. It's like some people can't be racist with the classical meaning, and they criticize others based on their sign. Oh yeah, I know what you mean now. It's ridiculous actually, because you know even if two people are the same, um, same sun or the same rising, whatever, they're not the same person. They're not going to have the same characteristics because they have individual natal charts which are very distinct to them and very different. But yeah, people get a bit ridiculous with all the horoscope stuff as well. Psychic, yes, I am the willing spirit to deliver. Good stuff. Right. I was just thinking, at least with the Tuesday and Thursday lives, I won't have any silent periods because I'll just be talking and that's it. You can all hop on. You can all listen. You can ask your questions, as I said. Oh, that is, yeah, because there's a few more people on now. I was saying earlier that with the Tuesday and Thursday live, I'm just going to be talking. And if you have questions, put them in the chat. If I don't get to answer them, then I'll do like a short or something, answering your questions. So give me extra content as well, which is always good on a channel. Psych will the announcement of the name of the course be made today? Yeah, I said it just now. The Goetia masterclass is going to be called. Let me just read it again. It's Beyond the Grimoire, a practical Goetia masterclass. So, as I said, that made the most sense when I was looking through it and what I'm actually going to be doing. Castle will be nice for you, Lee. What was that about? I can't remember what that was about now. I don't know. What was that in reference to? Not sure. Kerry, after all these years, Lee Agaris still sends me dreams. Does this mean we're friends? Yeah, why not? Um, I'm not sure we can really say we're friends with the spirits, but I like to think of it sometimes like that. We have a relationship. I think it's a bit different to what we have with humans, but still a relationship. Cat said the willing spirit. I'm assuming you meant didn't. Yeah, did not make the cut. But the name chosen is great. Yeah, as I say, I was when I was doing the history part, and I was thinking about the structure and what else I'm going to be adding into it. It Beyond the grimoire just felt a bit more apt. Um, I just felt more relevant to what I'm actually doing with it. Castle not needing sign-ups and things on your upcoming live. Oh yeah, I suppose so. Yeah, you mean people to actually ask questions and whatnot. Otherwise, I sit here twiddling my fingers and looking pretty at the screen. Yeah. Kasim was listening to someone who was speaking about goetic spirits. Practitioner said that goetic spirits are not your friends. They don't love you. If you go down that road, you are foolish, apparently. That's okay. Well, I'm a fool, so that's all right. That is what she said anyway. Everybody has an opinion. They really do. But as I said, I wouldn't really call them friends. I do. When I'm discussing this type of thing, I kind of like refer to them as friendly and friends, and how we relate to our friends and relationships and everything else. But yeah, whether we can really call them friends or not, it's not like we're going to go and have a beer. Well, I suppose we could, but not going to get them to the local pub on a Friday night or something like that. Not going to happen the same way. But still, you build a relationship, and same thing you do with friends. You build a relationship. So, you know, but a lot of people, depending on what viewpoint, what background they come from, and things like that, some people will hold them at arm's length. They are to them evil spirits, demons, icky spirits, things you don't want to build a relationship with. You don't want to give offerings to and things like that in a devotional aspect. Because they come from a Christian background, or they are Christian magicians or something like that. So everybody has their different opinions. Nothing wrong with that. Fallen angel, hello, hello. Is invoking jinns can be dangerous? It can be. It depends what you're doing. And you know, coming back to goetic spirits, we often consider them to be jinn. But when you look at the culture itself, I mean, it's Arabic, it's Islamic, um, and when you actually look at what the jinn are, they're like the fae, the fairy, the good folk. It's just a different part of the world. But they have their communities and they have their different sects and their cultures and their different divisions and everything else. And as I said before, some of them hate humans. They wish humans were dead. So you don't want to go, dealing with them because they're going to come along and probably kill you because they don't want you, they don't like you. Um, but others are a bit more friendly. Others just like to be tricksters and kind of like mess with humans because it's fun for them. But yeah, others will help. You can build relationships with them. So if you don't know what you're doing, you kind of, again, it's the same with fairy from European traditions. If you don't know what you're doing, it can be very, very dangerous. You can get yourself into a whole lot of trouble. There's a whole load of, it's a new set of rules, a new set of laws, how you go about doing things. And if you don't do them properly, you really do get yourself in shit. Um, so it can be very dangerous. And the problem here is that I don't believe that we as Western people have access to the proper knowledge when it comes to Jinn. We do with the Fae because we have a lot of people from that culture who speak about it, but not the Jinn. That's a totally different culture, it's a totally different part of the world, and I don't think we have the proper knowledge available to be able to deal with that kind of stuff. Some people say they do. I'm not entirely sure they do. Um, Kasim, so you think she was just being paranoid? What was that now? Oh, no, I don't think she was being, well, I don't think she's being paranoid. I think she just comes from a different perspective. She's got a completely different worldview. Um, it's the same as I have a different worldview than she does. Just because though I deal with them in this particular way doesn't mean that she's wrong and I'm right, or I'm wrong and she's right. It's just, again, different worldview. Um, James, in my experience, ghost spirits are certainly inhuman beings. Oh, yeah. Regarding their motivations and perspectives, but that does not equal inhumane. Oh, very, very well put that. Yes, I like that. Household pets are inhuman in much the same way. Yeah, yeah. There's yeah, that's puts it so perfectly. They're not human, um, but they can be very good to deal with. And there are some that have a very uh, malevolent nature, and it's only because that's what they are. That's what they're made for, what they're made of. It doesn't make them undesirable or evil or anything like that. We all need that sometimes in our lives, but that's just who they are, you know. What have I got along? Oh, Kerry at Kasim. He seems to like feeding off of my manic energies. Gets happy with me. As long as you've done your discernment and you know it is a Goris, then okay. And manic energies can produce a lot of output which a spirit can feed on, but I'd be very careful of picking up a parasite. Even if you have done your discernment and you know you're working with a Goris, one could come along one day and just be an imposter and just attached to you and you don't realize it. So keep your guard up. It's very important there. Psychats, yes, Islamic occultists seem to have the proper knowledge about jinns. They don't consider them as friends, but yes, guides. Oh yeah, yeah. Andric, so how you doing? Fallen Angel. So all goetic spirits are jinns or just some of them? What spirits you don't recommend to work with and consider dangerous? So when it comes to the goetic spirits, so specifically the Ars Goetia, there's a lot of different perspectives on what they are. They're often considered to be jinn because they are considered to be the spirits that helped King Solomon or build the temple, or rather the spirits that King Solomon forced in some stories to build the temple, and they were jinn. The difficulty here is that what made it into the Goetia aren't quite the original spirits. It was a progression over a couple of 100 years, really. Um, Weyer came along with his pseudomonica Daemonum, if I got the name right, which had it was a collection of previous texts that he had access to, and he was putting them together. And I think it started off with 49 spirits, and then eventually grew into 69 spirits, and then at some point it grew into 72. But that was after Weyer. Um, so it's really a combination of variety of different texts and grimoires that went back. Trying to think, I can't remember the original date now. I had it in my notes on Friday. Probably about 300 or 400 years, you know, to the first one, and then but even then, you have to consider broken telephone aspect. Um, were these spirits ones that King Solomon actually did work with, or were they are the names that we have now just placeholders for the spirits because the the name that the magician that compiled that was actually given are different to what we have, because that becomes a secret thing. It becomes a personal thing between you and the spirit. You get a personal name that you go to and you interact with them, and nobody else knows that name. So when you put it in your grimoire, you tend to or quite often write a different name to identify that spirit, but it's not the name that you interact with or you use. So those names could have been just randomly picked. Um, which means that what we're working with nowadays is our complete and utter egregores. So there's a lot of different speculation about what they are and could be, and I've gone through a few evolutions myself of what I feel or think is the truth there. Probably will go through several more evolutions in the next few years, I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting discussion or interesting question anyway. Would are there any that I wouldn't recommend? I just personally I don't work with horrors, but I think we mentioned that last week for reasons I'm not going to discuss because it's quite horrific. Um, yeah, it's just I wouldn't. But there are others that I haven't worked with, haven't touched base with, haven't considered working with because I have no reason to. So there's a lot in there. There's a lot. 72 out of 72 spirits. I work with like a handful, six. You know, it's all I really need for my what I do. Anyway, I might work with others when I'm doing client work, but you know, even when I work with them, I don't work with them personally because I don't have no need for them. But it might be a need that the client has, which they become very useful for. So I'll call on them. So it's yeah, I don't know. Becomes a personal thing as well. Andrea said, did I tell you that I rescued a feral cat who'd been sneaking in to eat Jasper's food? She had two kittens in my sofa. I do recall that, yeah. I'm sure you've mentioned that previously. It rings a bell anyway. Kerry will keep my guard up. Okay, as long as you do, yeah. Alexis, I think King Paimon or Paimon is also dubbed the King of Jinns. I've heard that many who work with him experience poltergeist phenomena. As far as I know, the King of Jinn is usually considered to be Asmodeus and Iblis in the Islamic faith. But quite often, or usually as Asmodeus, especially when you start getting into the mythologies and the tales revolving around how King Solomon employed them to build the temple and things like that. It usually comes down to Asmodeus, but quite possible. I think well, King Paimon is Paimon. I can't remember which one it is now. He is obviously a king in the hierarchy, but I don't really like calling them or using the hierarchy. As for poltergeist phenomena, I haven't heard that myself, so I'm not quite sure. James, I've wondered about the names aspect of goetic spirits. It strikes me that the names, like the forms described, are how the spirits represent themselves to a particular individual. Presumably, Murmur doesn't have a "Hello, my name is" sticker with Murmur written on it, but that name is either based on someone's experience at some point, it or is like you said, a game of telephone. Yeah, I mean, another evolution that I went through regarding who and what, and the spirits of the Goetia are, is that they are Jinn. But we have like Baal, we have Astaroth, which is usually associated with Astarte. We have Horus, which is usually associated with Horus from the Egyptian pantheon. So we have all of these particular spirits that people kind of um, say are the original gods, and I don't really believe that evolution in my thinking anyway. I didn't believe they were. I thought, I believed what was happening was they were Jinn, and just like we as humans will call our children after the names of gods, they were doing the same thing. So the Jinn were having children, they were calling their children after the names of particular gods and goddesses that were part of probably their pantheon, the ones that they worshipped. Um, and so that's how they got their names. But yeah, at the same time, when we consider names of spirits, especially in grimoires and texts and things, they're usually actually labels or titles. Um, and when we work with them, if you do work very personally with a spirit, it doesn't matter which spirit it is, God, angel, demon, whatever. When you start working very closely with that spirit, you ask them for a name, and you're then given a name which is personal to you. Nobody else knows it, and nobody else will ever or should ever know it. It's how you test the spirit, how you use it in discernment and things like that. So, yeah. Psycat said the Stellus Daemonum, for example, opines that Go Up or Beleth could be similar spirits. It seems there is a whole lot of overlapping. again, yeah. Um, coming back to personal opinions and things like that. I mean, it's also, people who go and talk to the spirits themselves and ask them these questions. I mean, when I went to Astaroth, and I asked Astaroth if she is Astarte, and the answer came back, no, not entirely. Um, because a lot of people do equate them. They say that they are the same spirit, the same goddess. But the reply I got was that they're not entirely. It's two different facets, two different masks of the same energy kind of thing. Um, yeah, it's all very wibbly wobbly. James said at Psycat, it's a great book. The exploration of viewer's identity, specifically the associated zodiac sign, was really interesting. Fallen Angel, how jinns can penetrate the physical veil to harm a practitioner badly and kill him, maybe. That's a possibility. Again, coming back to the similar type of entity being fairy. I have to draw on fairy here because we have access to that knowledge. We don't have access to the jinn or knowledge of the jinn in the same way. Um, but yes, they pop in and out of between realities, and they can cause a lot of physical harm. There's loads and loads and loads of old stories and things. I mean, my favorite is always the fairy and the jinn. It's in both countries' tales. Is them popping into reality and lifting a person up into the air and dropping them into a thorn bush, um, just for the shits and giggles. So all they really did it for. But yeah, they can definitely do that. Carry out James viewers associated with Sagittarius. Yeah. Yeah. Psycat, yes, James. It is fascinating reading material. Cthulhu, hello, hello. Was just about to search your name. Saw a video on Barbatos and wanted to see if you had a video on him. Oh yes, I do. I mean, that's part of the Goetia, and I did all 72 and more. I did a load of other demons after that for a while. So there is a video on Barbatos. Andrea rescued an adult jackdaw earlier, very dehydrated and hungry. Plus, put bowls of water outside during the heat wave. If you can. I heard your heat wave's still going on. That's kind of weird for Europe. I mean, usually the heat waves last 2 weeks and that's it. It's been going on and on and on. Empire, hello, hello. Any resources you'd recommend for a beginner? Preferably to read like books, articles. I can always make a transcript YouTube video. In particular, on perception and focusing will effectively. Oh, for that, I would go with Matt Oren's Psychic Witch. This one, hold on. This one just moves though. And the bookmark. This one. Psychic Witch by Matt Oren. This is brilliant. It really is. And it's got tons and tons of exercises in it. It really is a fantastic book. Great for building foundations, etc. But specifically, what you're asking there, this would be excellent. Let me put the guardian of the books back. There we go. You have to have a guardian of the books. Where am I? Oh, James at Kerry. That's the interesting thing. In Weir's text, there is an asterisk in the entry for Buer that senses the zodiacal sign. The Sagittarius thing is based on Buer's appearance as an archer. Oh, yes, I do. There's actually a very specific mention of him being Sagittarian or something in the text itself. I think I can't remember. What about the Psycat? I personally had experiences with gens They are very real and have true supernatural powers demonstrable. Yeah. Look, I don't think it's a lot different to dealing with the Fae, as I say. Jinn or Fae from a European standpoint. Um, in fact, we could call Jinn Fae or Fairy. Um, if you actually consider the term, if you consider that the term fairy encompasses all of those otherworldly beings um, throughout the world, and then you've got each kind of culture has a particular name for them. So when it gets to the Arabic and the Islamic, it's jinn, and they have all of their different classes and everything else. Can't remember the names out there. What's it? Can't remember the names of them. I know there's the ghouls, there's the Ifrit. Yeah, the Ifrit. Um, there's about 6 or 7 different classes of jinn. Yeah, but anyway, I do believe they are kind of the same entity. It's just that, as I said, different parts of the world, and therefore the culture is very different, and how you deal with them becomes very different as well. As you would expect if you were moving between countries, from one country to another country, you're going to find that their laws and their rules are different. What one country finds moral, the other one finds immoral. So, it's all very similar to that kind of thing. James, which in the Latin text is Sagittar, which led to the reading of he appears as an archer when in the sign, with Sagittarius being the Assumption. James, again, I can DM you this section from the book if you like. Kerry, Empire said thank you very much. It's a pleasure. Kerry, can you send it to me in Discord? Cthulhu Modern Magic by Craig. Modern Magic is also very good. If you want to learn ceremonial magic specifically, because you're going to be going into the LBRP and the Middle Pillar and all of those things. And Craig was a really good introduction to that. There's a lot of things that a lot of people say he got wrong in that book, but it's not like it's going to send you down a really bad rabbit hole or anything like that. So good book. Alexis, maybe goblins are also real like fairies and jinn. Who knows? Well, I would say goblins are a form of fairy. We have if you go into the element, I mean, the goblins are actually part of the elemental world. So you have your goblins, you have your salamanders, your sylphs, your undines, depending on which element you're actually dealing with. Um, so that becomes part of the elemental world, whereas when we're talking about fairy, we can talk about them broadly. Some people will include nature spirits in the realm of fairy, other people will not. Fairy become very specific, like the she for the Irish and things like that. So it changes, laws change. Yeah, it's quite a huge topic. Andrea said, please put up bowls of water with stones in so the bumblebees can get a drink also. Very good advice. I like that. Thank you. Yeah. Well, if you're in Europe, if you're in South Africa, it's not going to make much difference because it's bloody winter right now. But I've got my heater on, and I've got my very woolly, those woolly socks with the little um, plastic or rubber things, sort of bubble things at the bottom, so you don't slide on the floor. I've got those on today. Reindeers. Um, thought everybody would love to know that. Kerry, my sun sign is a Sagittarius. It's like cats. Okay, here in our part of the world, fairies or Paris. Paris are considered a bit more benevolent than the jinns, yet dangerous. You see, this is the thing. Is this a perception of the culture, or is it just a perception of a group of people within a culture? Because if you consider fairy, there's a lot of people who think that fairies are benevolent beings, and they'll always they don't won't do you any harm. And there's a lot of people that think that fairies are these tiny little creatures with little wings, um, and they experience them this way, you know. But damn, they're dangerous little shits. They're mischievous little imps, and they're just, yeah, they're quite wild actually. Wholesome Grundle, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. Fallen Angel, is magic circle of protection and LBRP necessary to prevent Jin's harmless? Well, as I said, I mean, working with the actual Jinn from an Islamic perspective is not something that people in the West are probably going to be doing. Some people believe they are and will be. I don't think they have the proper knowledge because they are not. They I don't think they've been taught by anybody in the Islamic faith who have the proper knowledge. They've just picked up some stuff here and there, and they think they know what they're talking about, and then they tell everybody else how to do it, and it's just leading you down a really, really dangerous path. But so, would Protective Circle and LBRP help with jinns? I don't know, because again, completely and utterly different culture. If you're talking about jinns from the perspective of the Goetia or the Grimoires, um, as I said, possibly not even jinn to begin with, possibly probably egregores. That's another kettle of fish entirely. If they are jinn, if they are the original jinn that King Solomon employed to build the temple, then you can, yes, then protection circles. I mean, that's part of the grimoire itself. LBRP is good to do a banishing to cleanse the space, to reset the energy within it, and then you can draw in whatever energies you want. So yeah, that would be very helpful in those situations. Is it absolutely necessary? No, no. Depends on what you're doing, who you're calling, what you're doing the work for. If you need to reset the space that you're in because there's just too much buildup of contrasting energies that you just need to go. Negative energies gone, everything just reset, and then you can draw in what you need to work with again. But yeah, so it entirely depends on what you're doing. Wholesome Grundle said, "Do you work with the Clipper?" No, I don't. I don't. My understanding of the Clipper comes from a more, I'd say, traditional Jewish Kabbalistic background, and what people are doing nowadays, something completely different. And it makes no sense to me at all. Absolutely no sense. Um, James, those blooming Victorians and their tape very long. Yeah, it actually the wings actually started the development of it was from the plays, Victorian plays, because what they had to do to distinguish between the human or the actor that was representing a human and the actor that was representing a fairy was to put wings on the fairy actors so that they could distinguish them in the plays. So it became this thing of fairies have wings. No, they don't. Just yeah. Anyway. Castle. The cat uh, I got at the house keeps everything in order. I leave water and some milk and food for him. Yeah, do that. Make sure they're properly fed, otherwise they get a bit upset. Um, Andrea, Fae are dangerous and wild. They are the big that can appear small and the small that can appear big. I love that. Where did you get that from? I love that quote. Um, Is that something your nan told you? Because I love that. That's brilliant. Psychic, not in Islam. In Islam, they are considered dangerous, a bit more benevolent than jinns. However, not little mischiefs, but actually fatal. They have long protocols and do's and don'ts for 40 days. Yeah, that's what I say. I mean, they're all. If you take fairy as being this big umbrella term, they're all fairy, but each culture and each country have their own um, name for them and their own classifications and all such things, and they have their own cultures and their own laws, and you have to abide by those laws. So if you go into a particular country and you want to work with their fairy kind, their good folk, you have to learn what their laws are, you know. Psychic, and even after receiving the oath from the spirits. Oh yeah. Andrea Castle, bless you for caring for the catchy. James, I grew up not far from where the Bradford fairy hoax was photographed. Ooh, no. Yeah, I bet they've got a lot of interesting history there. Andrea, it's from a fae. Okay, I like it. James Levy, bit of Victorian romantic fantasy. Absolutely, yes. Wholesome Grindle, interesting. Is it the idea that there's a spark of the divine in the waste of creation? This is my latest topic of research. Been a long time lurker of your channels and was curious if you take. So when it comes to the Clipper, I don't know if you have already gone and checked out Dr. Justin Sledge's videos on the Clipper. Some fantastic stuff there. Go onto Esoterica and just check out what he has to say about all of the stuff. Because one of the things that actually comes out of one of his videos, at least, or one of his discussions, is that the scholars, the Jewish scholars, don't really know what the Klipa is. They can't. It's not that they don't have any idea. It's just that there isn't any consensus because if you go into names escaping me again today. Is it the Zohar? I think it's the Zohar that discusses this the most, or where the first discussion of the Creeper, anyway. Um, is that there's four different ideas within that one book of what the Creeper are, where it comes from, how it's connected to the tree, and all such things. So there doesn't seem to be any absolute um, uh, um, understanding of what this is. And even if you go into different schools of thought amongst Jewish scholars, etc., it changes, it differs here and there. The way I was taught, what I was told, is that the klipa are the shards, the husks that kind of broke off at the point of creation, and um, this is klipa, this reality that we have here. So this pencil, for instance, this is klipa, all right? So if we transfer this into the idea of witchcraft, for instance, we we have what we call the underworld. Now, if you take pencil again, this is the shell, it's the husk, which is the clipper, and it's the skin, all right? If you want to get to the underworld, you've got to go beneath the skin, all right? So the underworld is not like a totally different realm from where we are. It's beneath the skin, beneath the surface. So to get to the underworld, we go to the beneath the surface of who we are. We go to our inner selves, but we go to the inner worlds of all creation. All right. So the Klepa are really these husks and these shells which form this illusion. And this reality, or going to call reality, is the illusion, the Maya. The Buddhists called it the Maya, etc., etc., etc. So this is why it doesn't make all this tree of death stuff and all the Klepa and whatnot. It doesn't make much sense to me. Because first of all, the people who came up with this, it's not, it's got nothing to do with Jewish. or even probably Hermetic Kabbalah, because Hermetic Kabbalah was a really became a distortion of Jewish Kabbalah, because Hermetic Kabbalah was an extension of Christian Kabbalah. And Christian Kabbalah was an appropriation of Jewish Kabbalah and distortion of it. Um, and so when we get to Hermetic Kabbalah, and then we start getting these distortions which come in with the whole Klippa thing, it just goes completely off the rails. But yeah, I think you said it in your words here is the idea that there's a spark of the divine in the waste of creation. That's actually one very good way of putting it. It is the shards that split off, that splintered during creation, which became the klipa, which is this the skin, the shell. All right. Hope I explained that well as best I can anyway. All right, Empire. Are you or someone you could recommend available for tiny bit of one-on-one advice guidance by email or something like that? My money is limited, but maybe I can afford 1 or 2 hours. Just send me an email, let me know what it's about, and I do usually charge a consultation fee. But if you can't afford it, if you want to send me something, whatever you can afford, that's fine. Um, it's it's often important just to exchange something. There's also got to exchange energy, otherwise we create an imbalance or things like that. So, um, but yeah, just send me an email. It might be something teeny tiny that I can give you an answer to straight away. That's not a problem. Right, Psycat, 16 watching, should be 16 likes. I don't know. I don't keep track of these things. I just do this because I enjoy it. We had 18 at one point. Let's see how many. See if we can find out how many likes we got. No, right, viewer activity. Maybe that's it. No, no. I don't know. I don't know how many likes we've got. I'll have to see afterwards. But thank you anyway. Fallen Angel. Last stream I asked you if only humans were alone in this planet without any other beings, and you said it's bad and meaningless, but in other hand, people are feeding based on the pain of those creatures. Um, yeah, I think I'm sort of remembering that discussion. Um, it's Look, humans are really not very nice beings. We are generally horrible. We consume, we destroy. I think, what's his name? Was it Mr. Smith in Matrix? Put it really, really well. Humans are like a virus. We come into a new area and we consume and consume and consume until there's nothing left. And then when there's nothing left, we move on to the next area and we repeat the process. Um, that's humans, and yeah, we cause a lot of pain and harm to other creatures. But if there weren't other creatures around, humans wouldn't exist, and therefore there wouldn't be any life anyway. So the I think what I was trying to say was the discussion becomes a moot point at the end of the day because you can't have humans without the other creatures. It's an entire ecosystem that feeds on itself. It keeps revolve cycling through and through and through. So remove all of the creatures, there's no humans. So there's no discussion and in that regard, if you know what I'm saying. All right. Castle Andrea, he's always followed me since I was a kid. A gigantic black cat enjoys his presence. James at Empire, what do you need guidance with specifically? It might be a private thing, so. Kerry, Andrea, we've had a lot of rain here, so I'm not too worried about leaving out water. Got a big water bowl. Oh, at least you're having rain. Yeah, I think in the UK there's just heat wave that won't stop. Somebody turned on the heater and left for the evening. Um, Andrea, Disney really. Oh, Lowton's here. Hello, Lowton. Um, Andrea, Disney really tried to take power from the Fae by prettifying them. Oh, yeah, but as we said, that started in the Victorian era. The Victorians screwed everything up. They were arseholes. The quote was from a Fae, but I'm not sure where I picked it up from. I love the quote though. Just love it. Da, da, da. Andrew, thank you, Kerry. I'm sorry for any confusion. It's mostly for people who are having this prolonged heat wave. Awesome, Grendel. That was helpful. Thanks. Where did you learn Kabbalah? I actually learned it from Jacobus. Oh, I've got all his books down here. Hold on. Maybe I can show you his books. Hold on. There we go. That's his books down there. I'm just missing one, his latest one. It's Jacobus G. Swat. It's actually it's all practical Kabbalah. So I really enjoy it. I love it. I think thought it was brilliant. Um, Empire. There we go. Oops, wait. James, I'm afraid 180 characters is not nearly enough to express myself properly. That's unfortunate. Yeah, there's a bit of problem with the limited characters. In general, same thing. PhD student needs from his PhD advisor. As I said, if it's personal, don't just drop me an email. Psycat, a way of paying back for your time, patience, and benevolence. The Megalonical, Mr. Johnson. There's at least our best wishes and auspicious prayers for the good work. Thank you so much. Thank you. Kerry, we destroy. Humans are like a virus. Meanwhile, Andrea and I are worried about leaving water out for the wee beasties. Yeah, well, I mean, it's what I'm saying. Humans are obviously, speaking generally, not just us here. We're good people. James Lee, well, that's me. I don't mean to be an idealist communist, but I don't think that what you've described is innately human nature, but a set of behaviors that we absorb through Western culture. I don't know. Yeah, probably. I think you're probably right. But we kind of got here from some point, and it's only ourselves that caused us to get to this point that we're at now. There were no outside influences. None of the animals, plants, and rocks kind of like led us to this point where we are consuming so much that we are completely and utterly destroying ourselves. It's not even a case of destroying nature. We are getting to the point where we're going to eliminate ourselves. Nature will carry on, the earth will carry on. It'll recuperate and everything else, but we'll wipe ourselves out before we destroy everything else. Um, so what got us to that point? We did. So, and I don't think it's just Western culture. I think it's humanity. It's human desire. Generally, you know. I mean, you see it everywhere. It's not even just Western culture. It's Eastern culture. It's all over the world. Capitalism, war. All of these are human desires. They've got nothing to do with the rest of the animal kingdom. So. Don't know. Um, Lowton had a minor update with the water spirits. Oh, cool. Still haven't managed to get a water feature yet, but we got hold of some old documents from when the house was built. Turns out there was a whole waterway drainage system on one side of this property. Oh, cool. Right, so I think that might be why the water spirits are reaching out. Yeah, absolutely. Um, you'll probably find there's some underground streams or something as well in that case. So it's probably why they're flowing through the earth itself. I think you did mention something like that actually recently. Andrea Castor, awesome. I have a shook that's been around since I was a teenager. He's been a great protector from men who try to take advantage of me. Shook gets less work now I'm 60 years. Yeah, can put his feet up now. Um, um, Empire. Oops, I keep skipping. Empire. As a molecular biologist, bioinformationist, that one. I think this take on humanity is a bit one-sided. We are products of the process which created us, the evolution. But over centuries, we have been working on, hold on, becoming gentler, more peaceful, understanding. We are slowly outgrowing the horror which spawned us. We started to care about animals. We grow our empathy. We slowly start to realize we need to take control of the social systems. And for example, Japanese culture has been for ages much better at harmonizing and dealing with the environment, both physical and spiritual. They tamed their demons, not well demonize them. Give us time. We are still infants. Yeah, no, there's a lot of yes and no's in that, I think. You've still got, I mean, yes, we're kind of like, I don't think we've developed to the point of peace and everything else and trying to help. I think it's always been there. But at the other side of the coin, there's also those who don't give a damn, who will destroy and consume because they believe they have this understanding that everything which is not human is there to for them to consume. You know, it was given to them by their God to completely and utterly overtake and destroy as much as they want to, because it doesn't matter, you know. Um, so we've got all different viewpoints that I don't know. It's a bit bloody crazy. That human nature's insane. Um, Kerry, speaking of astrology, is anyone else watching current events in light of July skies? Not me, not me, no. Lowton said, generally, I think humanity's biggest problem is that they're stupid. Oh, yes, absolutely. And they're not taught to not be stupid. Yes, unfortunately, the new generation has apparently taken a step back. Um, we are no longer progressing in intelligence from generation to generation. We've gone backwards. So, yeah, it's a bit sad. Light in the God complex of humanity doesn't help either. Funny how different, more gentle and docile humans are when you strip them of that complex. Yeah, agreed. James, I see your point. The capacity for the behavior exists like potential energy, but what got us to this point is not we in the broad sense, but specific social factors exploited by class. Yeah, yeah. I think it's a lot of different elements um, over thousands and thousands of years. And going back to the Victorians, quite frankly, I think the Victorians just buggered loads and loads of stuff up. Um, Bloody Victorians. You can blame everything on the Victorians, okay? It's probably easier. Lowton said there's a well underground here, but the waterway was filled in years ago, so now only three elements are expressed here. You might find that, I mean, if there was a well, you might find if it was natural groundwater, it's still going to be there, even if it was filled in, and it would have probably created different pathways. So you've probably got some water down there. Do some dowsing. There you go. Grab a Y-shaped stick and do some water dowsing. That'll be fun. See where the water goes. Um, James, I've stopped with the dialectic before I got off on a rant. That's one of those discussions that can go on and on and on, and everybody has their own opinion. So yeah. Um, Andrea said, "Fact: the more power a human has, the less empathy they are capable of. Generally speaking, yeah, yeah." Lowton, under most of humanity's worst instincts is fear. We are not a predator species. We are quite fragile, and I think that's what causes us outward aggression to the degree we have. Yeah, humans can get angry, lash out, but we do not have any instinct to run down and hunt other creatures, not unless we're taught to. Well, I mean that starts to become a modern development, doesn't it? We used to hunt creatures for food. We don't do that anymore. We have different ways of doing that. We have access to it that have made us lazy in a way. Um, we've evolved, we've changed, but we still keep growing and consuming. I don't know. As I said, it's one of those discussions that everybody has their viewpoint, and it's a really interesting discussion. But it'll just go on and on and on. Um, Fallen Angel, the most brutal theory is that God was bored and he decided to create everything, and she sits there and enjoying seeing us suffer and reincarnate us again. Yeah, again, lots of different viewpoints on that as well. I mean, there's some viewpoints that I find absolutely amazing of why we're here and how we're created and everything else. What was it? The egg theory was most one of my favorites, where we are all the same being. We're every one of us is God, but it's just we're all different expressions of that being, um, and we're all experiencing life in different ways, so that we can gain knowledge and we can, But it's all just it all then becomes just a play. It's all just a way of this being and entertaining itself. There's also the amount of different viewpoints and worldviews, perspectives. It's fantastic, it really is. Um, Kerry and Andrea, they try to rationalize everything. But the degree of destructive violence displayed by humans is definitely not normal. I think it's gotten worse lately. You said my mother did actually do that. We have several potential. There's the um, dowsing. Yeah, there you go. We have several potential locations for the entrance to it. I want to put the water feature on one of them. Yeah, cool. Good stuff. Empire Lighton, you have no idea the horrors the evolution and natural life has spawned on Earth. We are tame compared to what some animals do. Yeah, but I mean, if you think about that though, that becomes a natural process. I mean, yes, it's destruction and creation and everything else, and uh, it gets to extremes that we can't even dream of. But it's still natural processes. I mean, half the time, what we do as humans, it's no longer natural. Um, Compared to other animals, we're no longer animals in a sense. I don't know. Whole philosophical discussion. Um, and it's Sunday evening, so I'm just going to drink my coffee. It's much easier. Andrea, Kerry, psychologists have found most people in power become less empathetic. Yeah, they do tend to lose their empathy. And it's interesting, I was actually, oh, years ago now, the numbers probably changed, but I remember somebody telling me that a rich person who continues to, um, you know, gain money to become richer and richer, there's actually a point, I can't remember what the number was then, but as I said, it's probably changed anyway now. There's a point where they gather so many funds that money becomes completely meaningless and it switches over to power. Their money means nothing to them. Then they start to pursue power. And that's when they just don't give a damn about anything except for themselves. And it's complete and utterly, it's total narcissism. Um, so it's really quite interesting uh, study, I suppose. Nah, anyway. Um, where was I? Lost it. Actually, nice and well. There's more to it than just our behavior. It's the fact our anatomy bears no traits of a hunting animal. Carnivorous habits are known in docile creatures, but it's not what they're predisposed to. Yeah, I'd agree. Empire, the pressure cooker of different ideas and points of view is source of new, better takes. This is how we learn and grow. Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, can't disagree with you there. Kerry, oh Andrea, Kerry, sorry I misread your comment. Ignore me. I have my daft head on. Carry out Lawson, destructive violence. Slavery, the pioneering venture to go west and destroy native peoples. So much more. Precisely. Andrea, it becomes a sickness. Greed. Yep, yep, yep. Humans are weird. Fallen Angel, Mr. Lee, thanks for all your answers. Your channel is best. You are the great man. Oh, thank you so much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Um, as I say, we're doing some changes, or I'm doing some changes starting this month. Um, I'm going to repeat it because now there's more people here. So from this Tuesday, I'm going to be doing Brew and Babble. It's going to be a live, but it's 20. About I'm only going to keep it to a short live, about 20 minutes long. I probably won't be interacting with anybody in the chat, but you can chat if you want to, and you can ask questions. But it's going to be more of a talking head thing. It depends how much time I've got left. I'll probably answer some questions, but if I don't get to all of the questions, I can then take them and I can make shorts out of them, which gives me more content. And the same with Thursday, I'm going to be doing Hedge and History. Same, live, about 20 minutes long. It's just going to be looking at somebody in history or something to do with folk magic, folk witchcraft, traditional witchcraft, some of those aspects, practices, you know, that I feel are being lost or misinterpreted nowadays. So yeah, I'm looking at that stuff. So that's what's changing here. And then from next month, there's not going to be any more movie review. So I'll still doing the Punk Magic because there's still a few more in that series I've got to do. I've got to finish the Living Current because there was 12 episodes I have planned for that. And then I'll do the book reviews because that's chopped up from the Zoom meeting that I have for the book club on Patreon. So I can take that stuff and just chop it up and make it into a book review. So keep that. But I'm just trying to find ways to kind of free up some of my time because I was finding I was kind of like you got to script the videos, and then you've got to record the videos and then edit them and then do this and do that, and that's about 2 weeks work, and not constantly but on and off with other things in between, and it's just hasn't been leaving me enough time to write, to create the new courses and classes and everything else. So trying to free up some time that I don't have so much scripting and preparation and editing and stuff to do. So hopefully it works. All right, let me get back. Oh, James is going to dip out. All right, have a good one. You said I reached out to Marbus yesterday and he's come knocking already. Good stuff. Nice. Psycat, Mr. Lee, why do you think wealth magic nowadays don't guarantee a fortune or power like a true king as advocated by the grimoires? Not talking about the lottery and stuff, but actual tangible wealth. I think this has to do with how we kind of view wealth. Jason Miller actually speaks about this in his book Financial Sorcery. Um, Goes into it in a lot of detail and an excellent discussion about how we understand wealth and all such things. And I think we have a bit of a misunderstanding. So when we're actually doing magic, we don't phrase things properly. We don't ask for the proper things. But also, again, coming back to Jason Miller's book, the one thing he mentions in there is when we're doing wealth magic, what's happened in the past few decades or couple decades is that we kind of, firstly, we have this impression that pagans are poor. And it was very, very prominent in the 90s and 2000s. Pagans are poor, and it's now, people even do it now. They carry on that pagans are poor. But we have these skills and these tools to help us, you know. But that's kind of like been ingrained in us. So we have that to deal with. But then we've got what was happening was people were doing emergency magic to gain finances. So you were having a bad month, you weren't sure you could pay the rent at the end of the month, you do emergency magic to get the money in to pay the rent, and then that's it. But what Jason Miller actually mentions is we're supposed to be doing it constantly, and it's not just about one particular aspect of financial magic, it's everything. We've got all these different things that we need to kind of put into the grinder and sort out. It's all these different things within our financial magic. Um, you want to raise, or you want a new job, or you are running a business, and especially if you're running a business, you've got to look at your audience and growing your audience. You've got to look at marketing. You've got to look at your sales funnel. You've got to look at your products and the phrasing that you're using, the SEO, and all of these stuff. All these different little bits and pieces come into the whole mechanism of what financial magic becomes. But it's this constant process. You don't just do emergency magic and get it out. You continue doing it, and that's where people kind of fail. But again, we then have the aspect of, do you want to become as rich as a king? I don't. And some people do, but I don't. I want to be comfortable and I want to carry on doing what I'm doing now, you know? But I don't, I have no need to become rich and famous and have this huge mansion and drive a fancy car. I don't care about that stuff. So, as long as I'm comfortable, I'm paying my bills, I can buy a few things here and there, I'm happy. I'll do with some definite increasing in my personal finances, but that's that will come with time. But yeah, there's a lot of aspects there actually. Um, where am I now? Empire. Having worked in academia and corporate, I I think the empathy and power relationship is reverse causally. It is mainly the sociopaths and worse who get the power. They never had empathy in the first place. Very true. Yeah. Um, and it's probably because they didn't have empathy in the first place, they became so wealthy because, you know, they're just, they don't have a kindness to them. Kerry, have a blessed week. James, Andrea, see you soon, James. Alexis. The assumption that there must be one creator God may be wrong. I believe the Quran says we created the world, despite Islam being monotheistic. This implies many creators. Yeah, it's the same with Christianity as well. Um, it's a man was created in our image, not my image. So yeah, no, there's some very interesting discussions in regards to this. If you follow Dan McClellan, he's a he's a fantastic scholar of the Bible, and his motto is data over dogma. So he really does look into the data. He gets the facts behind everything within the Bible and biblical aspects. So great discussions, especially in regards to that. I've seen some brilliant stuff come out from him. Empire and Alexis, indeed, but the two takes are also not exclusive. There might have been one initiator of the process which created new entities, which in turn created various aspects of the world. There's that as well, yeah. I mean, you can have a look at sudden drop off of people. Did I die? No, I didn't. You can have a look at this in terms of something like Aradia by Charles Leland. Uh, the story is that Diana was the ultimate power within the cosmos and became lonely and therefore created Lucifer. And then they decided to uh, have a child who was named Aradia, and then humans were created, and Aradia was sent down to Earth to teach humans magic and all that stuff. So yeah, there's probably this one entity. Even if you, I don't even know if you can call it an entity or a being. I think it's just this power, this existence, whether it had consciousness or not. It just fate kind of pushed it in a particular direction. Speculations upon speculations. Um, Andrea Lee, yes, that's exactly how I feel about money and stuff. Yeah. Kerry Lee, the most important lesson learned is that I have to put the work in to manifest my dreams. While the demons can be powerful allies, I am a witch alone, standing in my power. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's one thing that a lot of people are missing nowadays. Again, going back to short form content, you know, most people nowadays are seeing this idea that do X, Y, and Z and you become a powerful magician or powerful person, and they don't understand what's behind all of that. So yeah, there's a lot missing nowadays, gotta say. Lowton, that's how I feel. I want enough to live comfortably. Anything beyond that is merely a novelty to me. Frankly, I find people who assume I would care about money more than that to be insulting. Yeah. You also love Dan McClennan's videos. He's brilliant, he really is. My favorite biblical accurate scholar. Yeah. He does get a lot of flack because he is a Mormon. But I don't think that has anything to do with his scholarship. You know, he is a scholar. There's no two ways about it. He knows what he's talking about. You know, he's 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 put in the time and the study to understand all of this stuff. Far more than someone like me have done, you know. So yeah, he's definitely worth chasing and having a look at. Qasim, Alex and Empire. If you read Dion Fortune and the Chaldean Oracles, it really does describe the many spiritual processes involved in creating the world. Psycat, thank you. I think request you can consider uploading long form content on Wealth Magic and Love Magic separately. Such videos will provide clarity on the issues faced by the newbies. I've done quite a few on Wealth Magic. I did a whole, as far as I remember, I did a video on the Jupiter box, which is spoken of in Jason Miller's book. After I read that, I think I did quite a few things on Wealth Magic. Just search through the channel. Um, and concerning love magic, I was actually considering doing a masterclass on love and relationship magic. Um, and teaching people that when you want to target somebody in love magic, and you go into the older texts, what you're really doing is cursing them. Bring through the ethics and all of that stuff, and then do some proper kind of like, how do you attract somebody? How do you help a relationship that's gone a bit sour? All of that stuff, because it's definitely, I mean, it's definitely become a more and more interesting topic for a lot of people across the board. So it'd be quite a good one to do, I think. Andrea, alas, I also have to leave. Okay, have a good one. I'm glad you were here early. Could have a good chat. Psycat, if you think these are important issues to be discussed. Yeah, no, I think they are. I think all of these topics are important. Listen, Andrea, bye bye. Lowson, he is very objective in his research. It's clear his personal views do not affect his work. Oh, yeah. Otherwise, he wouldn't say half the things he does. Absolutely. Yeah. That's why I like his motto, data over dogma. It explains it perfectly, that his approach to the whole thing. Um, he doesn't have his personal opinion doesn't come in, and being a Mormon, he doesn't bring his own personal religion into it either. It's all about the facts. It's all about the analysis, and the comparisons as well. Comparing different texts, and understanding what they're meaning, and translations from the Hebrew and the Greek and the Latin and etc. So it is brilliant. Castle everyone today, and what Father Richard Kendricks is brilliant about Faye and the others. I'll go have a look for that. Okay. Lotion, my golden rule for anything love or relationship related is do not ask for anything you are not willing to bring yourself. Good rule. Good rule. Yeah. Andrea, I love you all. I thought you were going already. Go on. Go do what you gotta do. We'll see you next week. Sagat. Yes, that would be great. Empire Custom, thank you. I shall look into it. Okay. Alright, that brings us to the end of that. Doesn't look like that many people have gone. Right, if anybody's got any other questions. Casts are a very good rule at low 10 want to follow as well. Yeah. My biggest thing about doing targeted love magic is why would you do it? Because the person falls in love with you, but they're not really in love with you, so you're just forcing it. And then when the person who did the magic in the first place starts questioning, yes, but does this person actually love me? there's never ever an answer to that because you'll never ever know, you know? Even though you're no longer doing the magic, and the person's still in love with you, were they, are they? Don't know because you forced it to begin with. So yeah, total mindfuck. Because then we really are forming a nice community here. Oh yes, I agree absolutely. Um, it's a bit of a murky subject. It definitely can be. And I think the biggest one of the biggest problems is that it's such a passionate driving force for a lot of people. So it can often get to the point where they don't give a damn who they're screwing over, just as long as they get what they want, you know. Carrie Love Magic is questionable, wonder of obsession. Yeah. Have you seen the movie, by the way? Obsession, new one. It's brilliant, very, very good. Um, it takes it to an extreme, but it is a very good representation of, if you do magic for love, how the person can become totally obsessed with you because it just doesn't stop. It just keeps snowballing and getting worse and worse and worse. The problem is, I found that I think a lot of people are now saying that if anybody says that love magic leads to obsession is talking rubbish. And they're kind of like pointing to the movie and saying, look, it's just a movie. It doesn't really happen. But it fucking well does. We've been talking about this for I don't know how long. So, yeah. Um, I Newton. Hello, hello. Do you meditate every day and how long normally? I do. I do sometimes miss a day here and there. I am still human. But yes, I do. And it could be 15 minutes or it could be half an hour. I generally don't go longer than half an hour during a meditation. Um, Sometimes it's just 10 minutes. You know, some mornings I sleep in, I just can't get out of bed. So I sleep in a little bit longer, and therefore when I get up, finally, I can only fit like a 10-minute meditation or something like that in. Other days, if I can, I'll do a 30-minute meditation. But yes, I think it's very important that you do it consistently every day, not just here and there. It's that consistency which builds up the flow of the energies and all such things. Um, Cass saw it's too risky. I don't enjoy bending others well. Yeah, yeah. Fair point. Um, Richard, never trying love magic because of trust issues. Does that? Yeah. I'd never bother doing it myself. You know, if I meet somebody, I'll meet somebody. I don't really care, and I enjoy my own company too much to even bother with that shit. Honestly. Yeah. Um, Lawson using it as divination, for lack of a better phrase, to attract energies that would be open to connecting with your own is the better approach. I think I've lost your train of thought there. Are you talking like on a general basis, attracting your people that are, well, I guess it's not really attracting people that are attracted to you. It's more a case of making you aware of the people who would be interested in you. And then you know introduce yourself to them and continue it from there. But yeah, I think it's the idea of attracting your true love, all of that thing, all of that stuff, your ideal mate, your ideal partner, and that kind of thing. Problem there is that could take a while, and I've also found that because we are now spread throughout the world. I mean, we interact with each other. We're all over the world interacting at the moment. Um, I found that the idea that doing this true love spell becomes kind of difficult because it could be somebody who is on the complete opposite side of the world. Um, on the one hand, it's become easier to meet them because we're so spread out, and we have communication devices that we or techniques or technologies that we can actually use for that. But at the same time, we're just coming into contact with so many people. It's difficult to try and figure out who it is. Um, which is why we do magic, to light ourselves up like a little light bulb and say, "I'm here," and hope for the best. Castle, seen it firsthand. Don't like using love magic unless the other person understands the rules of it. Lowton, desire is very strong power. Ironically, I find those who don't embrace it are the ones who often end up controlled by it. Oh yeah, yeah. Castle, at least the machine spirits have been good to you. Oh, they have been today, actually. Yeah. They weren't before I started. I couldn't get my damn camera to work out to reboot everything. But it's it's held up, which is a good thing. Um, Kerry, approach love magic with respect to targets one's sovereignty is an ethical question. Yeah, I don't. I think we can extend a lot of this beyond love magic. I think we're always manipulating people, no matter what we're doing. There's always something going on, or we are trying to one up another person. You know, even doing spell working to get a job. You know, you may have an interview at the ideal job, so you do spell working to get the job. That means that somebody else doesn't get the job, and they could actually maybe use it more than you do because they've got like 10 kids at home that they've got to feed or something like that. So there's always these ethical questions in magic, but who knows? Um, Lowton, in regards to love magic, yeah, using it to help and foster mutual connections for the sake of a healthy union between two or more people, rather than making people like you. Yeah, it's that kind of approach. Yeah. Or as I said, it's kind of like making you aware of those people, so you can pursue those relationships. Sim, okay, Lee, I will see you next week. Have a good one. Cheerio. Thanks for joining. Psycat, do you evoke Hades or some god death before asking the dead for those target obsession magic? No, I go to the graveyard. It's that's specifically part of the PGM. It's working in the PGM, um, which is for um, getting somebody to fall in love with you and become obsessed. Um, so I actually go straight to the graveyard and speak to the dead there. um, Newton, what's your opinion on scrying? I think it's a fantastic method of divination and also communication, spirit communication. I love scrying. I'm not fantastic at it. I I say that I kind of like I I I go into hypnagogic states. I don't see things come out of the water or the mirror or whatever I'm scrying into. I go into a hypnagogic state and I see visions that way. And it's sometimes I drift a bit too far and it becomes very difficult to hold on to the visions. So my method of overcoming that is to actually I use my phone and I just put the recorder on before I start a session. And then as the visions come up, I'll speak them, which again can sometimes become very difficult because if you start slipping too far, you just lose consciousness altogether. You know, you're seeing these visions, but you don't realize that you have a body anymore. So you forget to actually speak them. So, but yeah, it's one way I kind of overcome it is record the session, and as the visions come up, you speak them. And what's interesting with a lot of these aspects is when you start having hypnagogic visions, I found you can interact with them. They're not just images that kind of pop up. I have actually had instances where I have spoken with the vision and gotten information about the timeline and particular names and things like that. So it takes some practice. It definitely does. I still need to practice more as well. I don't put enough time and effort into it. But yeah, fantastic. I love scrying. Love it. Empire, in my opinion, manipulation is like a knife. You can use it to make a sandwich for someone or to stab them. Yeah, yeah. The question is whether you are manipulating someone for your gain at their expense, or are you manipulating someone to help them and reinforce them, raise their spirits? That's the thing. And there's a lot of different ways we can view it. I mean, one kind of typical example of should you do a spell working for another person. Um, just trying to think of a random example. Uh, can't think of anything now. Um, no, I can't. I can't. Brain's not working now. It's bloody Sunday evening. What can you expect? Um, but sometimes we do kind of spell working because we think we're helping somebody, but the problem is the repercussions it has um, kind of lead that person into a direction that they shouldn't have been going into in the first place, which then have repercussions that can be very negative for that person. So yeah, sure, we're helping them out to begin with, but in the long run, it becomes this negative run on things, and that's why we should be doing divination before doing spell workings, just to make sure we're allowed to do the spell. Not can we do the spell, are we able to do the spell? Are we allowed to do the spell? Should we be doing the spell? So divination becomes a very, very important thing. Castor at Psycat, say yes, I work with Santa Muerte. Always ask her and Hades for guidance. Carry out Kasim, have a good week. Loads of manipulation is power. Like a lot of other things, and power is neither good nor bad inherently. How it's used determines its quality. Yep, yep. Um, that's like thank you, Mr. Lee and Castle. It's a pleasure. Are you off now? Kerry said at Lowton, perhaps not so much manipulation, but influence. Could possibly be argued they are quite similar. No. Lieutenant Kerry, they're more or less the same thing. Yeah, manipulation just has a reputation as a dirty word in conventional morality, because influence can still be good or bad depending on how you use it. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think we need to do our divination, make sure that what we're doing is the thing we're supposed to be doing. Because as I said, sometimes we do, excuse me, we do a working or spell working thinking we're helping somebody and it doesn't, you know. Well, I was trying to think of an example. I think the example I gave an example of this to somebody a long time ago. I think it went something like this. So, um, you're in a situation where there's a crowd of people, there's an audience, and you may be on stage. Do you remember this person being on stage and being an actor or something like that? And there's a person in the crowd who is a complete and utter arsehole and is swearing and shouting and all of this stuff. So you do spell work to make him happier and to you know, enjoy what you're doing, right? So change his whole perspective. And then he, because of that, he's happy. He wants to go out and he wants to drink. So he goes out and out and has a drink, and then he has a few too many drinks, and then he gets into an accident and kills somebody. Whereas if you didn't do the spell working, he would have been pissed off. He would have gone all that rage out, and you probably would have just gone home and just slept, you know. But you changed the circumstances, was led to a different outcome, which then caused this thing to happen. At the same time, we could argue that that was fated, depending on if you're a fatalist or a free willer. Free willy. Um, I'm tend to be a bit in between, but I'm more on fatalist side. So just yeah, again, worldviews, perspectives, personal ways to see all of this stuff. Um, I've lost my place again. I'm gonna have to go now, actually. But let me get through the rest of this. Psychout, here are some sweets. Oh, thank you so much. The pleasure. Lowton, same with selfishness. People are generally taught that selfishness is a bad thing, but there are instances where not being selfish is unhealthy and is detrimental to you. Healthy selfishness is good. I completely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. There's got to be situations where you have to be selfish. It's also a protective mechanism sometimes. Lowton, yeah, that's the other half of things. Sometimes there's things where the best option is to just not dignify it with attention. Yeah. But we try and do our best through life. You know, can't fault ourselves for that, really. All right, I'm gonna call it a day. I was actually supposed to have an alarm that was supposed to go off. Probably need to set that one again. All right. Yeah, gonna call it a day, and I'll see everybody next week again. If you can join the lives during the week on Tuesday and Thursday, they are going to be 2 hours later than this one is, so it's going to be back at the 5 p.m. G time slot. So maybe you can join for those. Oh, Sappho's here. Hello. That was you. Sorry, a bit late, darling. But hopefully I'll see you next week. All right. Cheerio, everybody. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the chat. That was fun. I'll see you next time.